San Diego. I am so excited. It's been a hot minute since I've done a solo. I want to say it's been over 3 years since I've actually sat at the mic solo. And why is this so significant? 3 years ago, I made the decision to have my breast implants removed. And with that, it's been a journey of so much where I feel like now is the time to do a solo and just kind of bring myself up to speed about life post implant removal, women's mental health, how that's been a significant challenge during this recovery time, during this part of my journey. Talk about the relationships that I have developed over the last 3 years, the relationships that have left my life over the last 3 years, the significance of having male relationships versus just female relationships, how my business has taken off over the last 3 years, and just the quality of life and how real life becomes when you're faced with having health issues, and how when you are going through such challenges, whether it's a season of being healthy or not so healthy, whether it's a season of financial gain or financial loss, whatever the season might be, the one thing that remains the same is you. You will always be a part of that. You're the common denominator. So today, I'm excited because it's all about not me, not Tammy. It's all about everything that I've been through. And hopefully by listening to my journey, this will help you. So that's really what it's all about today. And I'm really, really excited because I have to say, you guys, making the decision to remove my breast implants after having them for 30 years is the best decision that I've ever made when it comes to taking my power back, taking my health back, taking not control, but taking back the driver's seat, if you will, to my life, where I want to go with it, the people I choose to spend my time with, and who I allow in my circle, right? So one of the reasons I decided to have my breast implants removed is that they were making me very, very sick. And I'm sure a lot of you already know breast implant illness is very real. It was one of those things where the symptoms that I had were so debilitating, so overwhelming that I couldn't wait to get them removed. And once I had them removed, obviously my body went through a natural detox process, which was not fun, literally 2 years of detoxing. And they say, when I say they, in the breast implant illness world, they say for every year that you have an breast implant in your body, it takes 1 month to detox. So I had my implants in for 28 years. So let's do the math. Close to a 2-year detox process. And when I say detox, not just, oh, I'm detoxing today, I'm not going to have alcohol for 2 weeks or what have you. I'm saying full-on body detoxing every toxin that was in my body, meaning heavy metals. My implants were heavy with black mold. I'm talking every, glyphosate, BPA, anything like that my body was kind of circulating was being released through my skin, through my blood, through my urine, through my feces, if you want to get down to it. My body was detoxing. And it was the most miserable experience of my life as far as the detox period, but the most beautiful, blessed experience knowing that my body was going back to its original form. So here we are, 3 years later, so excited to arrive where I am. Am I the best version that I can be? No, I am 100% better than I was 3 years ago, for sure. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what goes into this journey when I, as a woman, decided to have my breast implants removed. As we know, society dictates so much pressure on women to look a certain way, to be a certain way, to dress a certain way. And part of that for me for so long was having breast implants, large ones, right? And I looked the part. I had fake eyelashes, I had big boobs. I mean, I had it all, right? I was doing all the filler, I was doing all of it. Nothing wrong with any of that. Nothing wrong, no judgment here. For me, That's not who I am. And I was that for a long time. I walked the walk, I talked the talk, and I fit the part to a T. So having said that, my mental health while going through this detox period took a toll. I was severely depressed many, many times, more than I wasn't. And it wasn't because I felt like I made the wrong decision. It was because, wow, this is truly me. This is who I am. And I had to adjust to who Tammy really was. Not that I was fake back then. It's just you strip away, in this society as we know it, strip away a woman's breast implants that once defined her, right? Strip away wearing lash extensions that once was very much part of my face. And any of the filler and anything else that I did for years, again, no judgment here. I have no judgment, and this is all about what was good for me. There I was feeling like an empty shell, and I honestly felt like a shadow of my former self. And with that, I had to really dig deep and lean into my faith and realize that God didn't bring me this far to leave me. He brought me this far so that I could be raised to a new life. So that's what I contended with. And do I still contend with it? Absolutely. It's a journey. It's a process. And there are some days, honestly, where I think, when I see other women who have them on and I look at them and I go, a part of me looks at them and just goes, wow, if she only knew. And do I dare say something to her? And then there's a part of me that goes, wow, I wonder what it would be like if I had them put back in, or, maybe smaller. No, absolute no. Absolute no, that is the wrong decision. But those thoughts have entered my mind. And again, the same thing goes with when I see, women who have beautiful lash extensions on or lash strips or what have you, which I have tried and failed miserably. So I'm resigning myself to, this is who I am. And I'm more than okay with it. But do I look at people not with envy, not with jealousy, not a covetousness type approach, but more like, oh man, they look so good. They look really pretty on her, right? Yeah, I'm human, right? Those things factor in. But why am I sharing all this with you? Because it has a lot to do with women's mental health. And in a day and age where mental health is so important, as a woman in the real estate industry, in a very image-based business, in a very competitive business, it's so important to surround yourself with people who are your tribe, right? And what I've learned through all of this is a lot of the people that were my perceived tribe up until I removed my breast implants really weren't my tribe, right? So now my circle has gotten like from here to here, and I'm so okay with it. And why do I say that? Because we champion each other. We champion each other's efforts. We champion each other's wins and losses. We just champion each other. And that is so important because the cliche is so true. You're only as good as the company you keep, right? So for me, this whole journey has been a weed out process. Removing the implants also removed a lot of significant relationships in my life, including very close personal relationships, including boyfriends that I've been dating at the time that only knew me when I had breast implants and all the stuff that goes along with it. So a lot of that was removed. Not that I willingly went and did that. They just were removed, right? Like I no longer had space in my life for them. I didn't have the bandwidth to deal with somebody who wasn't going to add value to my life. My mom always said, honey, surround yourself with faucets, and you can either surround yourself with a faucet or you can surround yourself with a drain, right? And those people were drains. So they were extracted out of my life, but the mental health part of it kicked in, and it stayed longer than I wanted it to. Why is that important? Why? Because when you're going through a season where it seems to be dark and you don't feel like there's hope and you don't feel like that people care or people even see you, you have to have that safe place where you can check in and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I feel like I want to do. This is what I don't feel like I want to do. There were days, you guys, where I didn't feel like I wanted to get dressed. I didn't want to wash my face. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to lay in bed because I felt so depressed after making that decision. Again, not because I felt like it was a bad decision, but because it was a decision that I had wanted to make for a long time, and I knew that who I was and who I was becoming was what I needed to do for me. So the mental health aspect for women when it comes to making decisions for ourselves, I feel like is so important, and we have to have people that we can talk to. We have to have people that we can confide in. We have to have people that we trust so that we can have these conversations that are difficult to have, because it's not easy saying, hey, I'm suffering from depression, or it's not easy saying, hey, I'm suffering from anxiety today, because we're so focused and so worried about what other people think and what other people will say that we tend to overlook our own well-being and our own, things that are good for us because we're afraid of that. Well, the one thing that I realized through all of this is I was never afraid of it. I was never feeling like I was at the whim of somebody else's decision. I never felt like I was validated by a lot of these things, because I felt like as long as I stayed true to myself, that everything would be okay, and that all the things that are working out for my good would work out. Leaning into my faith had a lot to do with overcoming the depression that I went through while going through this journey after the breast implants were removed. And the one thing I can say for sure is that if you don't have faith in something, whoever your higher power is, mine is God. That is my higher power. That is what I leaned into to get me through the dark days, and I still lean into to get me through the dark days today. Because just because it's all done and everything is over, it doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean the fact that, you've done all of this, that you're not going to have good days and bad days. You're going to have some really challenging days, and you're going to have to get through them. So for me, it was leaning into my faith. So the mental health aspect of it is so important. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, it's okay. You're human. We have those moments, right? Just make sure you surround yourself with someone or a group of people who truly care about you, who aren't just in it to win it, right? They're in it to be a part of your life by choice, because it's as we get older, life does become very short, right? Because we don't know if tomorrow is promised or guaranteed. We don't know it is. We could die in 2 hours. We could die the next minute. So we have to be sure to be mindful of the things that we do, the things that we say, and the people we surround ourselves with to support your mental health. And I feel strongly about that, especially with women, because of the societal norms that are imposed upon us to be, look, dress a certain way at all times, which could be probably why I'm still single. But that's a whole nother topic. Reality is this. The things that you go through in life will cause you to reassess and reevaluate where you are to see if that's truly something acceptable to get you to where you want to be. And with that comes the quality of your relationships. I have become so close to very few women through this journey, but have become very close to more men than I have women, which is interesting because they don't know what it's like to go through what we go through as women. But I have to say, and I don't know if it's because we think differently, we approach life differently. My male friends, tend to look at things in a different perspective than we do as women because we're more nurturers. But my male relationships have become very, very strong because of all of this, because of this journey. And why do I feel that's significant? Because there is a big difference between having a female friendship and a male friendship. What are the differences? Well, let's do it. Let's figure it out. When you talk with your female friends as a woman, right, we talk about things that are identifiable, right? Oh my gosh, I'm feeling bloated today. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to wear. My hair's a mess. Oh my gosh, whatever, right? We talk about these things that kind of bond us as females. But when you're having a conversation as a woman with a male friend, the conversation tends to be, hey, I need your opinion on something. So, I had a conversation with this guy, and this is kind of how the conversation went. Am I going crazy, or is this something that you guys do? Right? So it's more of a, hey, no bullshit, cut to the chase. It's either A or B. There's no A through Z. Like women, we talk about 5 million different things before we get to the answer. Whereas with a guy, you're thinking, hey, this is what's going on. Shoot me straight. Right? And they do. So having said that, I think more like a man, which means my male friendships have gotten to be a lot stronger and they're more prevalent in my life. Is that something I sought out for? No, it isn't. I didn't look for that. It just happened. So if you are a woman and you have male friendships, nurture them, right? Guys are no bullshit. They look at things very, it's either A or B, right? There's just nothing in between A and B. So if you have male friends, nurture them, develop them, and they tend to be some of your best friends. I have so many male best friends that I confide in more than I do my girlfriends. I don't know why. Maybe it's all of the above. Maybe it's everything that I just shared, but it is what it is. So those are the things that have been very important to me. As a result of all of this, you guys, I have to say the quality of my life has gotten better, right? My real estate business has gotten better. I feel like I'm in a different space where, I can think clearly, I can see clearly. Imagine having a toxin or a multitude of toxins in your body that causes you to have brain fog over and over and over again, and you don't know why, right? I have such clarity now. I can see things clearly. I can hear things clearly. I can feel things clearly. And guess what? Back then, I was even more like, hey, if you're not bringing value to my life, I don't have time for you. Put that on steroids now, and that's truly how I am. Like, if this is where my life is, right? If you are going to enter my life and you don't bring me up to here, it's just a non-negotiable. I have no space for you, right? I earned my stripes. I've gone around the sun more than enough times to know that, hey, for where I'm going in life, I've made some decisions to better my life, and I don't have the energy or the time to deal with trying to babysit people. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but it is. It's true. I don't have time to babysit you, right? So if you're going to be in my life, then we need to come to a partnership and understand that, hey, meet me halfway, right? And I take that same approach with clients. Like, if we're going to do this, meet me halfway, match my hustle. I'm going to grind for you day and night, 24/7, but I expect you to show up as well if we're on this journey together, especially with one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in your life, if not the biggest decision. So a large part of a woman's image when she does have implants, breast implants, is the validation factor. Whether the woman knows it or not, or willingly or unwillingly chooses to accept it, there is a large validation of, look at me, right? Look how large my breasts are, or look how pretty my body looks because now I have breast implants. And what we feel, or what society tells us could be complementary to our bodies, really wasn't. So what I found myself doing when I had the breast implants in was, when the attention that most women would, well, I shouldn't say would, that most women would receive, I was opposing. I didn't like the attention that it brought to me. I didn't like the fact that men looked at my breasts before they looked at my face. I didn't like the fact that they were analyzing my whole body, and I would 9 times out of 10 have to say, hey, hold on a second, my face is up here, right? I didn't like that. So the battle of the detachment of the breast implants and how connected it was with image started to really weigh on me. I want to say 3 or 4 years in after getting the implants put into my body. So that whole validation, so it was very real. And what I found myself doing was seeking not so much validation from my partner, whoever I was with at the time, but having those conversations that, you know what, I'm really tired of men looking at my boobs, right? But hey, back up a second. I had the boobs put in. Did I not know that when I signed up for it? Sure I did, but did I know it was going to be to that extent? Absolutely not, because I'll be honest with you guys. When I went in to get these breasts put into my body, I told the surgeon, make them as big as you can because I'm not coming back to do this again. Never. And he did. And did I think they were that big? Absolutely not. Did people make light of it? Absolutely they did. But like I said, 3 years into it, I started to realize this is not really who I am. And then throw in another 12 years on top of that, and breast implant illness starts to kick in. I start to have all these symptoms of not being well. And then I finally started making the connection. And then 4 years ago, made the connection that, hey, get these out of my body, right? So the validation that we as human beings, forget about male or female, we seek validation with external things, right? Some of us seek external validation with cars. Some of us seek external validation with the man or the woman that we choose to date. Some of us seek validation with how much money we make. Some of us seek validation with how many material things can I have, because these things supposedly define how successful I am, right? So these implants for women, and I'm going to say all of us, for some reason or another, had them put in because we were insecure at one point or another. I was flat-chested, super skinny, living in LA at the time. And I said, you know what? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Why not? Everybody's doing it. Did I have this overwhelming desire to do it? No, everybody was doing it, so I did it, right? And I thought I could fit in more. I thought that if I did this, that I'd fit in with this crowd or that crowd. But you guys, the whole time, I'm sitting here having this conversation with myself saying, what in the hell are you doing? Like, this is so not you. But write it out. They're in your body, write it out. So If you're going to have them, make use of them. So I started doing modeling. I started wearing bikinis. I started doing all the crazy stuff and living that true Southern California lifestyle that they say is true on TV. But it cost me a heavy, heavy fine. My health was suffering. So that image, that validation, it's very real when you make the decision to have the implants put in your body. But I can say the detachment from that was so much easier than the decision to have the breast implants put into my body. Because as soon as I knew they were making me sick, I could not get them out of my body. And I'm not going to be gross about it, but if I could have removed them myself, I would have. Because it was to the point where I no longer identified with that part of who I was. I no longer identified with the breast implants being in my body. I just didn't identify with that whole lifestyle. People looking at me a certain way. I couldn't wear certain outfits. I'd have to buy a large top and a small bottom. I couldn't do it anymore, right? It was just too much. So the detachment was so much easier for me. I didn't have to think about it and go, oh my gosh, should I do this? Should I not do it? No, it was a resounding yes, and couldn't get them out fast enough. So, when I was living in LA, I truly lived, back then that was in the 80s, early 90s. And I remember as soon as I had the breast implants, the surgery done, the attention that I got from men without even looking for it, right? Certain types of men would ask me out on dates. Athletes would ask me out on dates. Actors would ask me out. Political figures asked me out on dates. I was receiving so much attention in a way that was uncomfortable for me, but on some level I welcomed it, right? Because this was the new and improved me, right? This was the new and improved Tammy. It was like the great reveal. Here I am. And with that came all of this attention, whether I wanted it or not, I got the attention. And it fed right into that lifestyle. It fed right into who I was at that moment, living in LA, living at the beach, running around with the crowd of people that I was running around with, and it fed into, and I would be lying if I didn't say that at that moment, I thought life was great. I thought, wow, this is what kind of attention it's going to get you. Let me just leverage this a little bit, right? So I started doing modeling gigs. I auditioned for a Playboy fitness video. I started doing all kinds of things, you guys, that in hindsight, I scratch my head and go, what the hell was I doing? Like, what was I thinking? I'm repulsed when I look at pictures of myself now of who I was then. But my point is this. It is a very real attachment that a person can use, a woman can use to leverage her existence, right? Because the attention that comes with that is unlike anything that you'll ever imagine, ever. And it doesn't matter how large the breast implants are or how small they are. Men are very visual beings. They love, and if they say they're not a boob guy, run, they're lying. Okay? I'm just going to say it out. They're lying. Every man is a boob guy, period. End of story. It goes back to childhood. I don't know what it is, but they are. But my point in sharing this with you is the attention that came with it was unreal, which made me stop and realize, whoa, are we that shallow? Like, are we that shallow where you can't recognize a person for their good heart, for the goodness of who they are as a person, but instead you choose to look at the superficial? Hey, I was like a little doll on the for sale shelf saying, hey, here I am, right? So that kind of fed into that whole lifestyle. Now, it is so much different. I have taken a 360-degree turn from having that to who I am now. Like, I wear very little makeup now. I rarely get dressed up. And if I do, it's a special occasion. I don't wear lash extensions like I used to. Have I tried and failed? Yes. So I have embraced and arrived at this place where this is who God created me to be. This is the original form of who God created me to be, and that's what I wanted. And I remember before going in for surgery, praying and saying, God, please restore me back to how you created me. This was right before surgery. And here I am, right? And it was almost like he said, be careful what you ask for. And I went through that journey, and here I am today. So how different is it now? I don't get that same attention. And now what I allow into my circle is only the friendships that I want to have, only the opportunities and experiences that I want. And if I sense for a minute that a man is going down that route, right, is where it's very much how it was when I had the implants in, I cut it off right away. There's just not even an opportunity to have a second chance, because this is who I am. Either you like it or you don't. And I can tell you right now, the guy that I was dating while I was healing had the audacity to ask me, as I was healing from having my breast implants removed, he had the audacity to ask me, so, Tammy, do you think you're ever going to put your lashes on again? And do you think you're ever going to have like fuller breasts again? That day, you guys, is when I packed up my crap and I said, I'm going to go take care of myself. And I never looked back. Because if you can't handle me when I'm going through a challenging time, you can't handle me, let alone do you deserve to be in my life when I'm going through a good time. So, surprisingly enough, while going through this journey, I've been very transparent about it on all of my platforms. I've been very transparent about it with people in my life. And again, it isn't to bring attention to me, it's to bring attention and awareness to this being a very real thing for women. And the amount of women who reach out to me through direct messages, phone calls, text messages, or all of the above, talking about considering having their breast implants removed and, kind of what that looks like, the journey, the doctors, how do I know who the doctors are? You guys, it's been so heartfelt for me to have virtual strangers reach out to me on social media and say, hey, I'm a 76-year-old woman. My husband doesn't want me to have my implants removed. I'm suffering. I'm sick. I don't know what to do. That breaks my heart. My response to her, and again, you guys might not like this, was leave your husband. Like, straight up, you're 76 years old. We don't have a lot of time left on this earth. You're suffering because these implants are making you sick, and your husband doesn't want you to have them removed. Leave him. Right? That's A. But that's me. There are other women who, we've become a tribe because the breast implant illness world is a very vast one. There's a whole Facebook page dedicated to it, and there's a whole community of women that are very vocal about it on social media. And I've become very close to a lot of influencers on social media who've had their implants removed, and we now have a very kindred friendship, right, because of this, where we talk about our journey. And I've had some of them on the podcast previous to this, but we've talked about, I'm talking high profile people who are athletes, having their implants removed, talking about their journey, talking about the validation that they once thought they had, that they no longer care for, that they work on themselves and God will do the rest, right? That's kind of just the MO for life. But I'm talking about a girlfriend of mine, right? She's a boxer. She had her implants removed. And you talk about how she's used that platform to catapult her career, it's taken off. These are the friendships I've developed, right? When it comes to how you confide in someone in life, women tend to develop kindred friendships when we have something similar that we're going through, where men become allies, right? So there's a big difference there. So now the impact that I feel that my journey has had on women in social media, women in my life. My business partner at the time watched me go through this. She made the decision 6 months after I had mine removed to have hers removed because she saw me go through this. So I, in turn, could help her. I, in turn, could counsel her when she was having moments of depression, moments of anxiety. I could counsel her. A year later, my hairdresser decided to have hers removed. So this goes to show people are not only watching you as a person, they're watching your next move. They're watching your courage. They're watching your intention, your motivation, why we do what we do, because whether you know it or not, you're making a difference in someone's life, whether you know them or you don't know them, whether they're on social media or they're in your circle. The power of courage to take back your life, the power of courage to take back your power as a woman or a man with whatever you're faced with can never to be taken from you, because we have rights. And this is my body. I'm going to do with it what I choose. And by making that decision, you're making a stand publicly and declaring, this is who I am. And either you're in or you're out. And if you're out, it's okay. No judgment. I'll love you. We can be friends from afar, whatever it might be. But the takeaway for me is this: stay true to yourself. Be authentic with who you are. Stay true to what you want, and all of that will be added onto your life. Whatever it is that God has planned for you will be added to you. When you start to get right with who you are and in alignment with what He has planned for you, those things will happen for you. And guess what? The things that aren't meant for you will be removed, i.e. the implants, right? And anything else that was attached to that. So my takeaway for all of you is this: stay true. Just stay true to yourself. Decisions aren't easy to make, especially when they're concerning your well-being, because people around you aren't going to like it. When you make a stand about, hey, I have a voice and I'm going to say what I'm going to say and I'm going to do what I'm going to do, not because I can, but because I can and I will. So, having said that, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I am an open book when it comes to everything, but really about this, reach out to me. There are websites out there. There's a whole community out there, Breast Implant Illness on Facebook. If you have any questions, need some resources, need to talk about surgeons to have this done, reach out to me. The resources are unlimited. And for the record, most plastic surgeons are now doing explants, which is removal, more than they are implants, because money is in the implants. Money is in supporting big pharma. Money is in supporting all these manufacturers who create these toxic tits. Yep, they are. Where most surgeons now are saying, no, we're going to help the women recover and be a better version of themselves. And if I can do it, and if all these other women can do it, amidst an image-based world that we live in, you can do it too. So, as always, happy to share, happy to disclose. I thank Corbin for prompting me to do this solo. I have no idea how it's going to sound, but it doesn't matter. Right? Stay true to yourself, San Diego. Peace out.